Good afternoon. This is Sue. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I'm upset to hear that so many people think that we should not be celebrating Thanksgiving. Why not? I'm going to give you a little brief history of why we should celebrate. Massachusetts was, quote unquote, invaded in November of 1620. Now, this is kind of a joke. It was invaded by 90 people on a boat that was barely sailable, who had been on the water for weeks trying to escape a tyrannic king in England. They had gone here to try to get away from him. They too had been the victim of slavery. Okay? They got here, it was November. It's cold, it's snowing, it's miserable. They have no place to stay. They have no food to eat. And Lord help them, they've run out of beer, or they're almost out. So instead of going south to where they would have been safe and go with other people, white settlers in Virginia, they decided to stay here. They did stay here for a period of a year. Just over half of them survived the winter. All the children survived, and the women didn't really count during this time. So you can figure that there were probably about 25 white guys. Now, at least 25 white guys certainly didn't have that much of a pull on the Indian population, which was in the thousands by this time. They became friends. They celebrated Thanksgiving, and time went on. Now, people say that we had slavery. Now, remember, until 1776, everybody in Massachusetts that wasn't Indian was under slavery. We were under King George. King George ruled with an iron fist, didn't care what we wanted, what we needed. He took it. It was his. We had no say. 1776, we declared our freedom. 7 years later, Massachusetts abolished all slavery. So, you're going to say that we had something to do with slavery? No, we did not. I have never heard any story in the vaguest sense stating that we went after the Indians. The thing is that we had a French and Indian War. The French and Indians came down to Massachusetts to Old Deerfield on February 29th, 1704, 86 years later, and decided that this peaceful village where no one had ever done anything to anybody was a good place to start a war. Well, they went in and they killed everybody in the town, and the ones that did survive were dragged up to Canada where they could be held prisoner. And slaves. These are white people, not black people, and they were so brutal that the Reverend's wife, who had just given birth, could not make the 200-mile trip. They scalped her at what is now commonly called the Pumping Station Bridge. We also had a man named Daniel Shays that actually tried to pull away from the Americas and join with the Canadian government, or what they planned on making into a country of themselves. He was from this area, and he was unsuccessful. The long story short is that 90 drunks landed in Plymouth Rock in November of 1620. They were not in the mood to do anything. They moved in with no home, no place to live, no food on the table, and only survived because the Indians helped them out. So it turned out that maybe some 25 men, somehow or another, managed to control themselves, and later on, more and more people followed. The people that followed may have not done the world the greatest. However, the original group were just a bunch of drunks that happened to land on a rock in Plymouth. They when they had their Thanksgiving dinner, it was a place of honor, and it is part of our history. Thank you.